once you're kind of in there, what does the whole training process look like? What do they throw you through?
Well, the basic ASCAN training, astronaut candidate, they really want to pump up your ego. You're an ASCAN. It's about 1.5 years long. So for me, it was learning the space shuttle and the space station. Now they just have to learn the space station, and they start learning Russian. They start learning spacewalk skills.
Wow.
There's a little bit of public affairs training, a little bit of science and payload training. There's flying jets is a super important part of being an astronaut. So the pilots are used to it, but the non-pilots are not. So they just have to get used to working as a crew in this dynamic. You're flying fast, and you might die, and that's the kind of thing that you want to get used to before you go into space.
Right.
So,
geez, man. So they're literally like people who have never flown before. They're teaching them to fly jets.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're not the front seaters; they're in the back seat.
Oh, okay.
They ride in the back seat, but they're still, they talk on the radio. They do the navigation systems. They do fly sometimes. We'll give them the jet, and they'll fly for some amount of time, and then they give it back. But the pilots do the takeoff and landing. And sometimes as pilots, I would fly solo. You just go fly by yourself. That's fine. But the real purpose of the jet is to keep. We call it spaceflight readiness training. It's doing something operational.
Okay. And then, so what is, I would guess that would kind of attribute to, or, contribute to your mental training a bit too, but like, what do they do for that kind of stuff? Is it just putting you under pressure for a lot and having to do tasks, or what's the progress for that?
It's all about the mental thing. The flying training has nothing to do with the stick and rudder skills of how to land a T-38. And everything to do with staying calm under pressure. When you're running low on gas, when the weather's bad, it's nighttime, whatever, dealing with those pressure, real life situations where your butt's on the line. Like in a simulator, if you make a mistake, you hit pause and you get out and you go to lunch. But in a jet, if you make a mistake, you might die. So those are things that astronauts really need to be able to handle. And also situational awareness, or we call it staying ahead of the jet. So you have to be aware of what's happening and aware of what's going to happen in the near future. And that's called situational awareness. It's something that's important on Earth when you're driving a car, what's going on around you. A lot of times teenagers have no SA. There's no situational awareness. They're just like, and they don't know, they forget their phone. They don't know what's going on because their brains aren't developed yet. Then they're not ready for the real world. As an adult, and I constantly it's this internal clock that's constantly going off. As a fighter pilot, you need to get, poked in the eye every couple seconds to watch what you're doing. Because if you get distracted, and I've almost killed myself several times. Thankfully, I had an automated system that prevented me from hitting the ground, or I would have died. Wow. If you get target fixated, is what we call it in the fighter community, where you're just staring at the target, and while you fly into the ground, you lose your situational awareness. And so the T-38 teaches you that, like you need to have this internal clock that snaps you back to looking at your attitude, making sure that the top end of the jet is up and the bottom end is down. What's in front of you, what's happening. And then you can go get distracted and you immediately have to come back. And we call that a cross check. But that skill is good in a jet, but it's good in life in general. Like, did I forget my keys? Where's the phone? What's my next meeting? Did I get to that task? Adults have this, your brain is constantly running of these tasks that we have. And being able to sort that out, I think, is a big part of being an astronaut.
Mm-hmm. So, and I mean, just for everyday life type of stuff too, even like, how do you develop that skill? Because it kind of, in my life, it seems like some people have it or some people don't have it, but is it something that you can develop? Do you just have to put yourself in those situations more often to get that? Well,
so by the time you're an astronaut, you have gone through a lot of pre-screening, right? Like you've been successful in some technical profession. You're at the top of that technical profession. So you've gone through lots of checks along the way, hopefully. Bosses don't put you in those positions without you performing well.
That's true.
So the kind of folks that show up at NASA are generally pretty capable people, whatever it is they're doing. But then, we do training. The T-38 is good training. Spacewalk training is really good for that kind of thing. We actually had a time management. I forgot the name of the. This is like 15 or 20 years ago.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. This is my dog, Murphy, and these are dog treats. Now I'll give Murphy one of these dog treats, and all you have to do is press the like button. Just press that little like button right down there at the bottom of this video, and this sweet, adorable, cute little puppy gets a treat. All thanks to you. Alright, you did it? Okay, I believe you if you said you did it. There you go, Murph. She got that treat because of you. Now, I'll eat one of these treats, and all you have to do is click that subscribe button. Right there, pointing to it. Just click that subscribe button, subscribe to Curiosityness with me, Travis DeRose. Get lots of good video, and I'll eat this treat. Alright, you did that too? That's not very good. Bro, not very good.